Hello, hello. Welcome. We'll just wait for some more participants to trickle in here. Thanks for joining us for the Hare's Corner Clinic. If at any point you have any questions, you can pop them into the chat or the Q&A, whichever is easiest for you, and we'll answer. We'll have a bit of a question and answer session at the end. Pranjali and myself, I suppose I should introduce myself since there are a good amount here. My name is Lee Worrell. I'm the Hare's Corner coordinator for the Hare's Corner project, and I have my colleague Pranjali with me here. She's been on the project since its inception in 2021, and I joined the team in 2022. So we're going to go over the project. I'm assuming most of the people here are 2026 applicants, but I do know there's also some future potential advisors also who are going to be here, or um, maybe people who are just interested in the project who aren't eligible in their county to apply this year. So we're just going to try and cover all bases and give you all the information on the project that we can think of, and then open it up to any questions you may have about the project towards the end. So yeah, so I think I might just share my screen here and start by showing you around our website, because that is where the applications are currently being held. So you can find our website at www.theharescorner.ie. So I will just go ahead and pull up our website and then share my screen. So you should all be able to see that. That is our main page, our home page of the website. And there is the apply now button. It's pretty straightforward, the application. It'll take you, you don't need to remember a password. You just need to enter your email address. It'll send a link to your email, and that will allow you to begin the application process. And of course, it's open for 9 counties this coming year. So we have the eligible counties listed here: Donegal, Kerry, Kilkenny, Limerick, Louth, Monaghan, Offaly, Sligo, and Wexford. So if you're in those counties, if you are a school, community group, private landowner, farmer, if you have permission to carry out actions on the land, you can apply. And we have more specifics of the eligibility just below. So we're not offering double payments. We don't want to double fund. So if you're in the acres program, unfortunately, you're ineligible. And just to make sure that, we're not disrupting any special areas. So just make sure you're aware if your land is an SAC or SPA. And yeah, there's not too much else. If you have land and you want to go about rewilding it, we offer 5 different supports. So I'll go to that tab on our page. You can see the 5 supports here: heritage orchard, mini woodland, plan for nature, wildlife hedge, and a wildlife pond. So I'll just briefly go through those supports. Um, so the mini woodland, if you apply, you will receive and are approved, you'll receive roughly 50 native woodland bare root trees, and that those will be handed out in February and March of this year. So as soon as you apply, the applications will close on the 18th, and then around the first week in February, we'll let you know if you've been approved, and we will then plan and let you know the dates and locations for the handout days in your county. So this is what you need to commit to. And just, yeah, to make sure that when we give you the trees, you get them in the ground and you have a nice spot for them. We will provide webinars and information on soil types and how high they get, planting distances, so you don't need to worry about if you're a first time tree planter. We'll help you every step of the way with advice as well as the materials for the mini woodland. So I'll just go back and go into the Heritage Orchard. Um, if you apply and are approved, you'll get 5 Heritage apple trees. And again, you just need to be willing to plant and maintain the trees. Um, and with these trees, it is helpful if you also have some stakes and ties. So there's maybe a little more some materials that you may need as well for prepping when you receive your apple trees. So with the mini woodland, the heritage orchard, and the wildlife hedge, those actions will be either approved or you'll be waitlisted and will be handed out in the month of February or March of this year in 2026. So that would be a very quick turnaround there. So the wildlife hedge, again, it's around 50 varieties of native trees. And again, we'll provide you with webinars and any information that you need. We'll send out the link if you can't make it to the information webinar. And we have planting information that we'll have on the day of the handout as well. So all the info you'll need. And if you want to, whether it's filling a gap or just creating a brand new hedge, feel free to apply for that. So our last two are the wildlife pond and the plan for nature. So the wildlife pond action is it's multi-stepped. So if you are approved, you are first approved for a site visit, and an advisor will come carry out that site visit on your land. And then at that point in time, we'll decide if you will be approved for the grant funding based on that site visit. So you're first approved for a site visit or waitlisted, and then you're either offered the grant or for whatever reason, it may not work for your site. So the ponds have to be at least 25 square meters. We have that listed on our site, what you need to commit to. And if you're in a public space, we ask that you please put up a sign um, to help promote the Hare's Corner project. But yeah, that one you'll learn all the information you need to from the pond site visit. And again, we'll have webinars where you can ask questions. But you'll find out if you need a liner and what soil type you have and how deep you can go and where your water source will be coming from. So if you really want a pond, then we urge you to apply for that support. And one of our most popular actions is the Plan for Nature. This is another advisor will come in and give you a site visit and make recommendations for ways you can increase biodiversity on your land. So there's around 10 recommendations, and the advisor will come out and see what you'd like to do, what you have time to do, what you're able to manage, what you currently use the land for, maybe what you're really passionate about, and figure out a game plan for you to increase biodiversity. That could be changing your mowing regimes, or maybe if you have lots of land with grazing regimes, or just letting things come in naturally. Maybe you want to discover more about what birds you have in the area. So just helping you figure out um, what actions will be best to take, whether it's for bats or barn owls or hedgehogs, local birds. Maybe it will involve you weren't approved for the wildlife pond, but the advisor will help you decide where a pond should go or where the trees should be planted. So there will be lots to discuss, I'm sure, for each site, as they're all very different. But the plan for nature is great advice and will help you figure out your game plan for rewilding your site, however much you want to get into that. So yeah, the site visits can take up to 3 hours, so make sure that you're present and available for the advisor to come. And after the site visit, shortly after you will receive that report emailed to yourself. So that will be the end of that action then. And you'll just have to hopefully take action on the recommendations made. So those are the 5 actions that we offer, and you're welcome to apply for any of those. We also, if you're not a Hare's Corner hopeful applicant, or you just don't, you're not in one of the counties, we do have lots of great tips on our website, great infographics on how to plant a tree, how to create a wildflower meadow, pond, create a dead hedge. So if you want to do something and you don't know where to start, or you can't apply, this is a great place to start. Um, just, yeah, all the wonderful infographics that we have. Um, and so there's lots of great things on our website. And I might just stop sharing. And I had forgotten to mention as well, Pranjali, that the funding, where the funding for the Harris Corner project comes from. Um, so we'll be able to decide how many actions will be approved. In every county we're going to be in 2026, we'll have some funding. We partner with the local biodiversity officers, and they help secure some local biodiversity action fund funding, so LBAF funding. So in each county, we'll have LBAF funding, and then we'll also have some private funding as well. And do you, I don't have some of those funders at the top of my head.
No, no problem. I mean, I don't, they're all listed on our website, so we don't want to kind of go into too much detail about that. But just to suffice to say that we work hard to bring this funding together, public funding matching with private funding in order to keep expanding the Harris Corner and keep offering these supports to more and more counties each year. We just started with one county in 2021, and we are now at 9 counties in 2026. So we are very proud to have arrived here. Um, just, I know, Lee, you would go through the application process. But just to say that you can apply for one or more actions. So that's not a problem. There was a question there about that. In terms of the screening itself, there's various priorities we have. We always give priority to schools, community groups, and then the landowners. And there would also be a question where you are asked to prioritize your own actions that you've applied for. So if you applied for 3 actions, we ask you that you give us the ranking of what is most important to you. So that's also becomes a factor in us choosing or screening applications in situations where there's limited funding and we want to give something to everybody. And in terms of ponds, there might be some additional screening criteria. For example, we want to get the most bang for our buck in terms of biodiversity. So if you have a continually wet area, you might be prioritized over somebody who may not have that. That's really it. I'm glad to see the questions are starting to come in. Lee, before we go to them, do you want to just quickly show people how to apply, where the link is on the website?
Sure, I'll just pull up the website here and share my screen again. So I'll start back at the home page. Let that load. There's either a red pop-up on the upper right-hand side, or you scroll down and you can see an Apply Now button. And then click into the application form. apply now. And now my name might, and I'm just going to use not my work email. So you'd enter your email and then I can go to my email, which I will do right now. Um, I don't think I'm going to stop sharing the screen time or in the meantime, as I
Yeah, so basically you're sent the link to your email address, so don't be alarmed that you can't see the form straight away. But this is just to avoid asking people to create logins and passwords and stuff. So the link for the application form will go to your email address, and it's a simple one-page application form, isn't it, Lee? Yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
so
Yeah.
I just clicked into my email and it took me right to this page. Please complete and submit. So we just make sure that you are aware of the questions, the conditions. So you'd make sure that you are not applying for land that is designated SAC, SPA, NHA, and on our website we have those links that will take you to the NPWS sites that will tell you you can plug in your air code and it will say if you are within an SAC SPA. We don't want you to displace species-rich habitat. So I think if we have a section we on our in the eligibility area, but if you're unsure, it's a simple Google as well. What's a species-rich habitat? If you normally see very unique and lovely looking flowers, that
And
most
yeah,
likely,
just the variety of leaf shapes in your lawn, then you know you have a diverse grassland, and maybe avoid planting a tree there, for example.
yeah,
So choose an
exactly.
area which is the least biodiverse.
Um, and that you don't have historic monument. We don't want to disrupt anything there. You're not involved or enrolled in any of the other programs that you may be getting funding for already. And just that you will let us monitor and assess your site. So we want to make sure that this project really thrives and the trees survive. So we do follow back up and pay you a visit after ponds have been installed or trees have been planted, just to see how things are going, check in, see how you enjoyed the process. So you have to be open to that. And then the rest is just your information, air code, address, county. Some people, if you don't, maybe you have a new build or you live at a location, but you want your pond 3 fields over, just give us the details in this box. Um, and what type of applicant you are. So we have three options there. Are you a member? Um, how did you hear about the project? Of course, all these are going to be some required questions. So I think I can't go on. But then the next section is then just very straightforward with the 5 actions. Are you interested in creating a pond? Would you like a plan for nature site visit and report? So yes, you are eligible to apply for all 5 actions if you'd like. um, or just one. And then yeah, at the very end, we'll ask if you could only choose one action to be approved for, what would your number one action be? And you can prioritize them. If you apply for all 5, just rank them. What's the first, second, third, fourth, fifth? So um, once you submit that, all is good. And yeah, you'll hear back from us around the first week in February for the woodland, orchard, and hedgerow actions. And then shortly after that, it will be the wildlife pond and plan for nature action. So we will try our best to communicate and get that out as soon as possible after the applications close, just so you're not waiting. Um, so yeah, I think that's it
Yeah.
for now. If there's any questions, any other questions,
Yeah, there's a few questions coming in. Francis has asked, do you anticipate that other counties will be included next year? Hopefully, yeah, that's always the plan. We give every county a 2-year run. So some of the counties that are in the second year this year may most likely won't continue, and so that with the view that we will include further counties next year. So fingers crossed, but we can't make promises. We are running on annual cycles of funding, so it all depends on what the situation is towards the end of this year in terms of local partnerships and private as well as local funding available. Um, the next question, is there a deadline? Lee, you might answer that. Is there a deadline for the trees to be planted, pond built, etc.?
Yeah, so a good rule of thumb that we always say is to get the trees in within a week is really ideal. And to get them in the ground no matter what. So even if you can't put them in their permanent planting spot, to just heal them into the ground. Say if you have to do it on week 2 or week 3, to get them in the ground, make sure the roots are staying moist. We don't want the roots to dry out and the trees to die. So yes, within a week is best. For the pond built, we will be carrying out the site visits in the month of um, April, probably. And then once you know if you are approved or not, you'll have until around October, September, October to get the pond built. Um, but we have to work out those exact deadlines, but that's generally what it is. Um, I would say September, but a lot of times too, there's no hedge cutting until after September 1st. So there's always exceptions where, if you need to cut some hedge, obviously we have to allow you a little more time. But the best time to dig is going to be in the summer. The longer you leave it, the damper the conditions can get, and the harder it'll be for an excavator to access your site. So the height of the summer is really, really the best time to dig the pond. So we'll have the deadlines listed. Once you're approved for the site visit, the advisor will go through those fine details, and we'll be communicating with you as well once we know if you're approved for the grant funding.
I think the main thing is there is enough time, as
Yeah.
long there's at least a month or two for you to get things together for that. Padger is asking, I'm not in an eligible county this year, so if I carry out one or more of the 5 actions on my own initiative, could that disqualify me for when my county becomes eligible in the future? You're free to take as many actions for nature as you can, but we don't obviously support anything retrospectively. So if that's what you meant, but yeah, it shouldn't, of course, it wouldn't disqualify you. I mean, we are always looking for motivated, enthusiastic landowners, and that'll only improve your chances of being selected if and when we come to your county. Anne has asked, I represent Kilkenny Civic Trust, a non-for-profit registered charity that manages and operates Butler House and Garden and the Castle Yard. We are really keen to develop a biodiversity plan for nature for the 1 acre walled garden and explore possibilities for biodiversity in the yard. We are not currently receiving funding, and would really welcome support to help us map out actions to enhance and interpret biodiversity for our visitors. I don't see why you wouldn't be eligible, and absolutely please apply,
Yeah,
especially considering. Sorry?
Kilkenny's one of the counties in for
Yeah,
2026, so
yeah.
definitely.
And if it's a public space, obviously there's an additional interest in supporting you for us. So thank you for that question.
We've seen it advertised that the project is open to homes with gardens. Is that accurate? Yes. Yes. Any bit of land is and that you can have an impact on and give over to nature will have a positive benefit. So most certainly, please apply.
How does Hayes Corner select which counties to accept applications from? I have land in Longford. That's a very good question. Well, I suppose we're trying to There's a few things involved. First is funding for that county, which comes from local biodiversity action fund at the moment through your local biodiversity officer. So funding is one element of it, and we try and look for match that funding with private funding. But a really important factor is expertise in that county. So because we prefer to have local consultants who are hydrologists and ecologists who can join our team and who can become advisors in those counties for the Hares Corner project. So it takes us time to build a panel of advisors who we can train in time to help us roll out the Hares Corner actions in that county. So there's funding and then there's local advisor availability. Lee, would you like to add to that? Is there anything else? That's
Yeah,
probably
no,
two main
that's
factors, and it's their capacity from our team as well. We are a small team, so we are growing slowly. So that's really it.
yeah, yeah, you nailed it. It's, we put it out to the biodiversity officers and they express interest because we can't facilitate this on our own in all of the other counties. So yeah, based on funding and availability of advisors as well as the partners with the biodiversity officers. Can
This
our
is a good
group
question. Can our
choose
group choose two different
location?
locations in our town? Um,
So I'm assuming it's hard to know what you're referring to, Michelle, if you're talking about maybe for the plan for nature, if you want the advisor to carry out site visits on two different sites, or if when you receive trees, for example, you want to plant them in two different locations. Um, yeah, we have had, say, tidy towns apply and be successful, but it's really up to the advisor if, for example, for the plan for nature site visit, um, if you want them driving all over your town or village and it's going to take hours and hours, that may not be feasible. So, we kind of leave it up to the advisor with some odd circumstances that may arise where we say it be around 2 or 3 hours for the site visit. And if you're going to many different locations, that may increase the time. And it just, we want to be fair to our advisors and not have them driving everywhere.
yeah,
But
actually,
maybe,
she supplemented that, Lee, saying we would like an orchard and a wildlife hedge in two different locations in the same town, Bruff Tidy Towns, Limerick.
yeah, so
That's fine, isn't it? That's as long as
yeah, you will only, if you're approved, if the group is approved, you'll get 5 trees. We don't double up the amount, we don't approve you for 2 orchards and 2 hedges.
yeah, yeah,
But you are free to plant them
yeah,
in different spots then, yeah.
great. Thank you. Helen has asked, we have applied already for two. One is Heritage Orchard and one is Plan for Nature, St. Oliver's National School, County Kerry. That's great, Helen. Thank you for that. I wish you all the best. Brenda, what obligations, if any, are there if an action is done and I want to do something different with the land in the future, which would interfere with the works done? Look, there's no legal obligations. You're not signing any contract with us. This is all done in good faith and with the hope that people will look after the materials, in this case, the trees or the pond that they're supported to plant. So there is no legal obligations. We want this to be as little hassle as possible for people.
If you think you may want the trees and then you won't want, just we don't want you to take anything that you don't think you can manage. So just keep that in mind before you apply. And with these bare roots, they're only, around 2 years old. So they can be moved within, let's say, the first 5 years. So if you plant the trees and then you decide you want to do something different with that site, you can move the trees and still have them survive and thrive in a different location, so they don't have
Yeah,
to
and
die.
just to say, you are agreeing when you apply to kind of your site being monitored occasionally. So we will be carrying out some maybe remote survey or even in-person visit to a random selection of sites just to for our own benefit to see how successful the actions are. And it's always a pleasure to see when applicants have looked after their trees or their pond very well. But of course, we understand life happens and things change, but there are no legal obligations.
Yeah, and people move, so
Yeah.
things like that happen. But yeah, just shoot us an email if something happens that you'd like to
Yeah.
keep us updated about.
If a school is an eligible county as part of the diocese, can we apply? Um,
Yeah, if it's
yeah,
an
yeah,
eligible county,
absolutely.
yeah, of course, please.
Um, okay, we have one from in the chat. Emma, I missed the bit about the timeline. When did you say the site visit might happen? I'm just homeowner with large garden and was thinking of the mini orchard.
So for the ponds, the site visit will happen either late March or during the month of April. And for the plan for nature site visits, we don't want them to happen before May 1st, let's say, because we want the advisors to be able to see what's coming up, what's in bloom, what plants you may have on your land. So we don't need them out there with little magnifying glasses trying to figure things out. So the 1st of May will be the very beginning of any plan for nature site visits, and those will happen throughout the summer.
Yeah,
So you
but I
can
think,
buy some.
Emma, if you're only thinking of an orchard, there will be no site visit. I mean, if anything, there might be a monitoring visit 1 year after you've planted it. So there's the site visits only take place for the ponds and for plants for nature.
Sorry, yeah, I didn't see that
Mhm.
part of the
That
question.
helps. No, no problem.
Yeah.
Um, I
Yeah,
wonder if
so
there is.
we do try to give you as much guidance as possible with the webinars and any planting plans and links, and with our website we have great information and resources there to help you pick the best spot for your trees or your apple trees, your woodland trees, hedgerow trees. Um,
And just to say, that's a fantastic selection of trees. There's about 10 to 11 different species in your woodland mix. And some of them are not the ones that are, not only are they Irish seed and Irish grown, but they are hard to find in the garden centers. They're unusual and rare varieties, species like aspen and black poplar. It's a really special mix of trees, and we are we're delighted to
I'm
have them.
popping in the chat box right now. I'm popping in the species mixes for the woodland and the hedgerow actions, and you can see the quantities and the types there. Um, so hazel, hawthorn, rowan, oak, alder, birch, pine, aspen, black poplar are in the woodland. And then the hedge species, hawthorn, hazel, guelder rose, gray willow, spindle, holly, crabapple, and cherry. So, and then for the 5 apple trees, the team will make sure that you're getting trees that will be able to cross-pollinate with each other, and they're either early, mid, or late, and they'll help you pick out what you want. If you want to eating or juicing or baking, so they'll help you on the day. Is there a max budget for a wildlife pond? Yes, the grant funding. So if you are approved for the grant funding, we will reimburse you. So we have to see proof that a pond was created with the 25 square meter minimum. And so that we require before and after photos. And then we reimburse €800, which covers the cost of an excavator, or if you own an excavator, it could cover the cost of the pond liner. So whatever the cost may be, we pay 800 is the max. Okay, I am in acres for the farm, so can't apply for the woodland, but can I apply for the orchard in my garden?
Yeah,
Uh,
that's a tricky one. And I know there's a lot of acres farmers who are not being funded for the actions they're interested in that they would like to apply. But I think just for the ease of our administration, it's difficult for us to ascertain where the actions are being taking place. They're happening remotely. So I'm afraid if an applicant is in acres, that's a flat out ineligible. So sorry about that, Lucy. It's just the way we just don't have the capacity to sort of uh, select selectively approve actions.
Yeah, and we've tried in the past, and things happen where farm advisors, you're on it. There's all sorts of different circumstances where, you know, you want to put in a pond, but then because of swans, and you have certain search situations where you just can't do the action. So yeah, it's easier to not approve. Um, and I do want to mention as well. Because there's a comment saying if the land belongs to the diocese, you will need to get permission from the diocese. So that brings up a great point with if you're a resident association or a school, you will, if and you want, say, a wildlife pond, you need to get, we require permission from the Board of Management, insurance companies for that, or if you're a resident group that the county council owns the land, they need to give permission before you can carry out the action. So just that you're aware that if you are applying for land that you do not own, you do need to get permission for that. So that's a great reminder.
Yeah. Catherine has asked, can the plan for nature be carried out on a small boggy site? It's considered marginal land on a small farm. Family used to hand cut turf, but not anymore. Gorse and willows starting to take over and spread. Need advice on how best to manage for nature.
Yes,
Yes, yeah,
yeah,
yes, is this nice sweet
definitely.
answer to that? Definitely, please do apply. Um, so Board of Management permission will suffice, asks Mary. I presume you're asking for a school?
For that's usually for schools who want ponds just for the safety issue. Um, so if the insurance company is aware and they give you the green light as well, just to make sure what we're really doing is we don't want to waste anyone's time. So we don't want to send an advisor to carry out a site visit if at the end of the day the principal doesn't think it's safe or the board of management insurance company just won't cover it under any circumstances. So we will help with that as far as language to share with them, how deep it'll get, or plans for if fencing would be required, um, gates that lock, anything that your school may want or need. We will help with as much of the information that we can to try and get um, this outdoor classroom, this outdoor space for learning, because it is just so great when schools have ponds and the kids can be out there and see frog spawn and the damselflies and dragonflies and what's alive in the pond and what's visiting. So I suppose every school is different, and the board of management is all will vary from school to school. And we've had successes with ponds going in without fencing and without locks and gates and all that. But like I said, everyone's different. So yeah, as long as everyone's on board, the board of management insurance company, then we will approve you for a site visit if you're going to be approved.
Was there a
And
special webinar for schools, Lee?
yeah, we'll be hosting just an information session before any pond site visits will be taking place. So we'll be sending that out to all the schools just to give you as much information as possible before we ask you to get permissions. We'll give you all the information you would need to tell the board of management, any potential costs, any potential um, safety issues, like I said, depths and distances and fencing and how to, costs of if you need liner or if you need to divert water in any direction, we can help figure out total costs above any grant funding, if it would get to that point. So you know what to tell them and what you'd need. So yeah, we'll be giving you as much information as we can before any pond site visits.
Have you emailed all the schools in the chosen counties?
The applications are still currently open, so no. Once the applications close, and we sort and rank, it'll take some time to get through all of the counties and first preferences. And we will have the handout days for the orchards, woodlands, and hedgerows first as the actions that are carried out. So they will there won't be any communication with the schools, say the first week of February, like we will be approving the trees, orchard, woodland. We need to get their handout days. For example, the first handout day is the 13th of February, so it's a very quick turnaround time. So we're going to be tackling that first, and then we will move on to the pond action and the plan for nature actions. So at that point, we'll email the schools. Once we're once you get the approval, we'll have more information on any information
Yeah.
sessions.
So I presume the question is for applicant schools that have applied. So we'll only be getting in touch with schools that have applied. We are not generally emailing all schools to urge them up to apply or anything. We're hoping that
Oh, right. Yeah.
the press and the local biodiversity officers are promoting the project sufficiently so that, we'll get good few applications from schools. If you're approved for orchard or woodland, do you get help citing them? Um, No, not very specifically because we have hundreds of applicants who we give trees to. So the best that we do is we provide you with resources on where not to plant them, where is a good place to plant them, what trees prefer what kind of soil. And also we host an online session with our woodland specialist where you are free to ask questions or talk about your site and explain your situation if you want, if you have any specific questions, Leslie. But that's the extent to which we'll help you in deciding the site for your trees. Um, Angus is asking, might be worth sending the info to the education centers if you haven't done so already. They push it to the schools in each county. This is Donegal's one education centers. Thank you for that tip. Yeah, we might do that. That is, if you feel the schools need a push, you might have loads applying already. We actually have great application numbers from Donegal, Angus. So I think we're doing pretty well there. But that's a good tip, and we might even suggest to the biodiversity officer there. Um, so thank you for that.
Yeah, I think that's all the questions. If you think of a question after this is over, feel free to send it on to our email, info@theharescorner.ie. I'll just put that in the chat box as well. So if you think of something, feel free to email us on, and we'll do our best to get back to you as soon as possible. Um, Great. I don't see any other
No,
questions
no.
there.
Okay, there's one more. How does someone become a biodiversity officer? I have no idea. Uh, we 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 don't, we work with biodiversity officers through just existing biodiversity officers. So
The county
I don't know. You
council,
might have to ask your own biodiversity officer in your county.
yeah, I think, yeah, that's not our remit there. Um, have a passion for biodiversity. Great. Well, thanks very much for joining us this evening, and best of luck if you've applied for one or more actions. And
And most of all, thank you for your interest. It's great to see the appetite for doing something for nature, in your own patch of land. So it's great to see. It's what keeps the projects like these going. So happy that you're interested in listening and you're interested in taking part in the project. So thank you for that.
Yes, I second that. Thanks so much, Franjali.
Thank
All right,
you.
everyone, have a great night. And we'll see you at a handout day. Um, thank you. Thanks. Great.
Bye.
Have
Thank
a great
you.
night. All
Bye.
right. Bye now.